Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Debra Harrison with Simply Sweet and Ink Designs. And if you have not joined me before, welcome. I am so happy that you are here crafting with me today. Let me go ahead and get my banner up so that you know what my host code is for April. This code does end on April 30th. As you hop on, say hello. Let me know who is on here crafting with me today. I have a really fun and kind of a mega project. I'm not going to do all of them today, but I'm going to walk you through the ones that I have for you in tomorrow's tutorial in that email. All right, so what we're going to do is today we're going to make this really cool one sheet wonder. There are lots of different templates that you can use. I'm using one from Rhonda Wade that I got from her a few years ago, and it's going to make 10 cards out of one sheet of designer series paper, or I should say 12 by 12 designer series paper. So this is a great way for you to use your cardstock. Use your designer series paper. I am particularly today going to use this beautiful sheet with all these flowers from the Countryside Inn designer series paper. Now, this designer series paper will be available to order on Tuesday, May 2nd. So wanted to share them with you. I wasn't very well prepared last week, but I'm better prepared, I hope, this week to show you all this beautiful paper. All right, so before we get into the project today, I wanted to share with you who was the winner from last week's share, and that was Bonnie Shinkle. Now, Bonnie, there you are, girl. Hey, congratulations. So, Bonnie, I do have your mailing address. I have mailed you something before, but I'm just going to confirm it just to make sure that it hasn't changed. All right, so for this week, so Bonnie is actually going to be getting the Misty Moonlight ink pad. It is a color that we had back in the In Colors a couple of years ago, and it is coming back into the core, one of the core color lines. So it's a beautiful denim blue. All right, so because I love blue and we've been working with blues lately, the next prize for this week's share is a set of the Balmy Blue Stampin' Blends. So if you would like to share today's video, then just comment shared in the post, in that video post, so that I know who to enter into the drawing. Now, you do need to be in the United States in order to be entered into the drawing. All right, so let me share with you what we're going to do. As I said, we're going to take this piece of designer series paper. I'm just going to get rid of that banner so that we can see our full screen here. And we're going to make 10 cards. So let me show you the cards that we're going to make. Then I'm going to show you the template that I am using to cut this paper. I'm going to walk you through how to cut the paper so that you can follow along when you get that project sheet tomorrow in your email. Now, if you're not part of my email list, make sure you sign up because this is a good one. Lots of really fun projects to make. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to take and we're going to make these 10 beautiful, beautiful cards. Now, I did use, like I said, that Countryside Inn designer series paper, but also too added that really cute Nested Friends bundle. Oh, running out of room here. So this is a little fun fold card right there. That one, and then we have one more here. So beautiful set of cards that you can make. And I'm actually going to, when I cut, I'm going to show you which piece goes to which card. So we're going to be revisiting these cards. I'm not going to make all of these cards today because we would be here quite a while. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share with you the products that I'm using. I already showed you the paper. I'm also I use the Nested Friends bundle. Now I wanted to let's get a game plan going because as we know, the annual catalog and the spring mini catalog are retiring on Monday, May 1st. That's only a few days away, guys. So we need to come up with a good shopping game plan. And then on Tuesday, May 2nd, the new annual catalog will launch. So, but we got a couple of things happening before May 1st that we want to make sure that we're all set. One of those items is the Nested Friends bundle. This right now, you can get bundle pricing on it and save 10%. So if you don't have this and you want to be able to order it, I recommend you order it by Monday, the 1st, so that you can get that bundle pricing. Now, if you don't order it on Monday, May 1st, it's fine. It will still be available, but they're just going to be available separately, and you'll have to pay separate pricing, and you'll lose that 10% discount. So I encourage you, if you need this bundle, order it before Monday. Also too, another item, now this one is going to be retiring, and this is the layering circles die set. I love these dies. Really bummed that we're losing these circle dies because they're a really good basic set of dies. I know a lot of us probably have these already, but if you don't, this would be a great opportunity to go on ahead and add that to your shopping list so that you have a really great set of dies. I'm going to keep using these because they're just so fundamental. All right, so these do retire on Monday is the last day you can order those layering circle dies. So I want to just kind of bring that out there so that you're not caught off guard. Another thing too that's going to happen is check your supplies over the weekend. Do you have cardstock? Do you need any adhesives? Let's see, I'm trying to think. Let's see, adhesive, cardstock, ink, pads, blends. There's a lot of basic supplies that are going to be going up in price on May 2nd. So order them by May 1st so that you can avoid that price increase. All right, so that's kind of our game plan, right? Because then on Tuesday, May 2nd, you want to add these two products to your shopping list. These are from the new annual catalog that will be available on May 2nd. One of them is the Countryside Corners bundle, which includes the stamp and the set of dies. I use a lot of these dies in those 10 cards that I showed you. This is a single stamp, so it's like, how do we use this? So I'm going to share with you today 2 cards to share with you how to use that stamp set in a good way. Now, another new product that I am using, actually all the sentiments came from this new stamp set, available also on Tuesday, May 2nd. The Wonderful Thoughts, and it is like that Charming Sentiments. It has a cool set of dies that you can cut out those sentiments. So I was able to use a lot of these sentiments in the cards for today's projects. Okay, you ready? Let's get ready. Okay, so let me share with you the project sheet. It is very different than other project sheets that I have done in the past. So it is going to show you kind of just a really quick pre-stamping guideline. So if you want to use those Nested Friends bundle, you can do that. You can stamp everything, stamp all your branches and your birds so that you can recreate the cards exactly like I did. It's also going to have this template for you. Now, this template did come from Rhonda Wade a few years ago. I think I mentioned that. There are tons of One Sheet Wonder templates out there. You go to Pinterest, type in One Sheet Wonder, 12 by 12 or 6 by 6, get lots of fun ideas. And then it's going to have several pages showing you each of the cards and what card base I used, any add-ons that I used, what piece of the designer series paper I used, where I put my dimensionals and all that. It's just a really quick summary of what I did on each card rather than step by step, because I think that would be a very tedious and long tutorial. So I just wanted to share that with you so that you have an idea when you're looking at the tutorial tomorrow in your email, you know what you're looking at. Okay, so here is the template, and I wanted to show you how we're going to cut it. So we have here, let me bring that up a little bit. So here's our 12 by 12. So what we're going to do is we really want to concentrate on these bottom lines. So we're going to cut our first section at 5 1/4. We're going to cut it all the way up. Then we're going to cut the next section at 2 3/4, and then that will leave us a 4-inch section. So I'm going to go ahead and let's work on this real quick. I'm going to get my trimmer out. Now, one key thing when you're doing a One Sheet Wonder is you want to find a pattern of designer series paper that is not directional, okay? If you have something that has lines or anything, or the pattern has a unique direction to it, not all of your cuts may work properly, or you may have to reorient them on your project to get them to work. All right, so remember, our first cut is at 5 1/4. So let's go ahead and get that done. And then our next one, we're going to set that aside. Our next one is at 2 3/4. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to look at, now that we've cut our long strips, now we want to look at these horizontal strips. So our first one is at 4 inches. Then we have 2 of them at 2 1/2 inches, and then we're going to cut the remainder at 1 inch. So let's go ahead and get that. First one's at 4. And then we have 2 1/2. Another 2 1/2. And then that should leave me 3 inches, which it does. So each of those is going to be 1-inch strips. All right, so we have that. That's from our left little section. So now let's go look at our center section. So we had it 2 3/4. So we have 2 of them. One's going to be 5 1/4. Then the other one's going to be 5 1/2. And then we're going to have this extra piece. And I'm going to share with you what I did with that extra piece, because we're not leaving anything undone. We're going to use every piece. So we have 5 1/4, and then we're going to go to 5 1/2, and then our little extra piece. All right, so that's our middle section. Then we have our last section. This is probably the trickiest one. So we've cut to 4. Now our first section is going to be 3. Then we're going to have a 5 1/4. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut that 5 1/4 to 1 7/8, and then that will leave us 2 1/8 remaining. And then we'll also do have a section 3 3/4. So let's go ahead and cut the 3-inch first. And then next, we're going to take, and it's 5 1/4. And then that will leave us with that 3 3/4. But I want to cut this 4 by 5 1/4. I want to cut it at 1 7/8 because we're going to actually use this on a fun fold card today. Okay, so we have all of our pieces. Let me get my trimmer put up. Okay, so let me show you what I used on each card. For the 3-inch strips, I used it to make this card. All right, then for the 2 1/2-inch strips, I used 1 for that card. The other card I used vertically. I've got strips everywhere here for this card. Okay, so those are those 2. And then we have this one uses that full piece. All right, so we're just going to put that as our background piece. Then we have, remember, now we're to our middle section here. This is that one that was 2 3/4. So, oops, flip-flop them. This is the 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. Then we have the other one that is 2 3/4 by 5 1/2. Goes all the way across. I'm going to come back to this one. I'm going to share that one at the end. Okay. Then what we're going to do is this, we're going to take, oh, this was another fun fold card I forgot about. So we're going to take and use this piece. This was the 3 by 4. So 3 by 4. We use that on that card. Now today we are going to make this card. This is one of the cards I'm actually going to take from start to finish. Remember that 1 7/8 piece that I showed you? That's what we're going to use there for that panel. So we're going to set that one aside because I need it. In fact, I'm going to set the card aside as well. Then we have another, we have the remaining 2 1/8. Remember, we had this 4 by 5 1/4. We're using 1 7/8 on this, and then the remaining 2 1/8 was used on this card. And then lastly, we have this 3 3/4 by 4-inch piece. And this is the other card that we're going to make today. Okay, so let's go ahead and get these aside. I'm going to put these other pieces off here, and let's get into our project. All right, so let me go on ahead and let's start with our fun fold card right here. So let's go on ahead and let me show you what I did. I have here a piece of Boho Blue cardstock. Now, this is one of the new colors that's coming, that's going to be available on May 2nd. Add that to your shopping list. And this measures 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. And then what we do, make our regular card base. We're going to score at 4 1/4. But what we want to do is we want to make it into a fun fold. So half of 4 1/4 is 2 1/8. So we have a score line at 2 1/8. So 2 1/8, 4 1/4. So we're going to burnish that right there in the center, and then we're going to fold back and we're going to burnish it again. Now I have already kind of put a lot of this together, so I'm not going to go through all of the stamping. I am going to show you one thing though, because I want to share with you how to use that Countryside Corners bundle. So I'm going to add this to the front panel. Then we're going to add our inside piece of basic white that measures 4 by 5 1/4. So we want to have a nice pretty white accent showing against our blues. Okay, now let me share with you how to make this tag. Now in the Countryside Corners bundle, the dies that come with it, we're going to use this die right here. And so I just die cut out from Night of Navy cardstock, die cut one of those out for us. So that's going to go right there. But we need to talk about this panel right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go one size down. So I'm going to just set that aside. And then we are going to take our Countryside Corners stamp, and I'm going to share with you how to use this stamp, because it's one stamp. I don't want all of those outlines, right? So I'm going to take a large block. Now there is a larger block than this, or you can use the Stamparatus if you have it, but I only need that little, what do you call it, that stitched outline. And so this block will work just fine. All right, so you have different options. One, you can take your big old ink pad and try to go around the corner and try to get it nice and inked up without getting ink everywhere. Or what you can do is you can take Stampin' Spot. Now, if you are part of Paper Pumpkin, a lot of times I like to save the little ink spots that come in the kits. However, if you're not part of Paper Pumpkin, don't have that, Stampin' Up! Does sell a little 5-pack of, it's the same little ink spots, they're just not inked. And what you can do is you can take your reinkers, ink up those little ink spots, and then you have them ready to go. So that's a nice little workaround there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ink spot because it's much easier for me to handle. And so what I need is I don't need any of these inside. I don't want them showing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up just up to the stitched line. Now, if I get ink around the outer edges, that's okay because I'm going to cut those out. So let's go ahead and we're going to ink around the edge. Oops, I did get a little bit. If you do, you can just kind of wipe it off. And I'm probably going too fast in this video, but you want to kind of take your time, go around, ink up those edges. I'm going to go around one more time just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Whoops, right there. Okay, so now I'm going to take a piece of basic white cardstock and I'm going to stamp. See, I got ink on me. Ah, what a mess. Okay. I'm going to wipe my hand real quick so I don't transfer that to our project. All right, so we have right here a little bit, kind of messed up, but you can always take your marker, your little pen tip marker, and just fill in that spot. And so what we would do is we would take our die and we would line it up and we're just going to die cut it out. All right. I kind of messed up on that one. I kind of figured I might. So I went ahead and I made a really pretty one for us. Now I wanted to show you the difference here because if we were to do this, which is typically what we do when we make layers, this is what it would normally look like, right? But by adding that really beautiful outline, does that not just elevate the project, right? It's gorgeous. I love it. Okay, so now also too is remember I told you could take from that wonderful Thought stamp set, you can die cut them out. So this is what it looks like die cut out. So if you wanted to add a little oomph to your project, you could pop that up with some dimensionals and it'd be really super cool. All right, so let's go ahead and glue these layers together. Hopefully I don't transfer ink to my project. Let's see, so let's go ahead, we're gonna line that up. Now, you wanna be careful when you are adding this on to your project. You want to make sure that you are only adding dimensionals only to one side, okay? so that you can open your and close your card. So let's go ahead and flip it over, and we're going to add dimensionals. And that's probably enough. That's probably all I need. Okay. I see, Bonnie, you like this paper. I am loving this paper. And I finally realized why I am so obsessed with this paper. Does anybody remember a few years back, we had a really beautiful medley called Boho Chic Medley? Well, I never got a chance to play with that beautiful paper. And that's what this paper reminds me of. So I'm like super happy. Okay, so I have already stamped, colored, die cut out a bird and a limb. My limb, though, is pretty long. I don't need all of that, so I'm just going to snip off some of this. And then we're going to glue that down there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pop up the bird with a couple of dimensionals. And there you go. That is that card. A little bit of ink in the process, but what's crafting without some inking fingers, right? Okay, so that is one of the cards. Now, next I'm going to share with you how to do this card. I'm not going to go through showing the stamping because obviously I'm having a little bit of an issue with that today, but I am going to show you how to put the project together because I think you got it, right? So what you'll do, I will tell you though, in this case, when I stamped, I didn't worry so much about stamping the center because I knew that I was going to come back and I was going to die cut a piece that was going to cover all of that inner stamping. So you can do that. Okay, so let me share with you about this one. So this one uses a piece of thick basic white cardstock that measures 5.5 by 8.5, regular score line at 4 1/4. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to take from my Scalloped Contours dies. I'm going to take this die right here, and I'm just going to show you what I did, okay? Because I want to add this little trim piece here. And so what I did is I took just a piece of some Night of Navy. I lined it up right here. I ran it through my die cutting machine, and I end up with this. Okay, so this is a way that you can get more versatility out of your dies is by using components of it, using edges of it to create really beautiful edges. And so then what I did is I just trimmed it down to the piece that I needed that was 4 inches wide. And so I'm going to glue it, make sure I have it correctly positioned. I'm going to glue it to the back of that 3 3/4 by 4 inch piece. So I wanted to show you how I got to that little trim piece. So when you're looking at the tutorial, you know how I created that. Okay, so then we're going to glue on our little layer here. And then I'm going to glue this sentiment label on. This is, again, both of these were from the Countryside Corners dies. I'm going to glue that right here in the center. And then I'm going to pop it up with some dimensionals. And let's add one more for good measure here in the middle, just in case. I don't like my layers to sag, you know? All right, so let's add that here. And then again, I have colored in our bird with the Boho Blue and a little bit of lemon lolly for the beak. I'll pop that up with a couple of dimensionals. Okay, so I'm just going to have my bird just sitting right there on top of my sentiment. All right, so those are the 2 cards. Like I just showed with you how to make 2 of those 10 cards. All right, so you're basically going to follow the same steps by cutting the bases from the country corners. I can't speak today. The Countryside Corners dies. Man, that's a tongue twister. And then using that stamp set to make those really pretty borders. So you're just going to kind of recreate that. I shared with you which size of those dies that I used and the sentiments too. You're going to get I used all of those from the Wonderful Thought stamp set. Now, what did I do with that tag? You're wondering, well, I mean, what did I do with that extra piece? We're not going to leave this undone, right? So what I did is I used the countryside corners. I used one of the dies. Let me see if I can find which die I used. They're all hiding here. Let's see. It was, I think, this one, the second largest. Yes, I did. And then what I did is I just snipped off the bottom because I didn't need all of it. And then I just added that piece I used. Remember how we created this little cute little border? Did the same thing using that scallop contour dies to create a really little fringe border right there for the tag. And then I added the Boho Blue ribbon with a little bit of the linen thread. All right, let's see. Are y'all enjoying? Did y'all enjoy this project? Okay, yeah, Elizabeth, in tomorrow's email, you're going to get this entire tutorial with all 10, with the template, as well as all of those 10 cards, and as well as the tag. So you'll have everything you need in tomorrow's email. That will come at 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. If you're not on my email list, make sure that you join that email list so you don't miss any of my project sheets or any of my events. And in fact, before I leave, I do want to tell you what I've got going on, because one of them's almost full. So I need to let you know about that. Okay, Mike, if you want to make more with that really beautiful Nested Friends bundle and the Countryside and Designer Series paper, I have my May Sweet Creations Club using both of those products. Beautiful. And so it includes about $20 in consumable product, as well as all the pre-cut project pieces that you'll need. Now, you do need to have that Nested Friends bundle, and there are some blends and inks that you'll want to own. So you'll want to make sure, go over to my blog at Simply Sweet Ink Designs. Let me see if I can share that with you real quick. Go over, click on that Sweet Creations Club tab, and it will tell you all about, show you the registration link, if you want to sign up monthly, get my kits every month, or if you just want to get this one particular kit, there is a 1-month link to do that. Also, too, I was so late in posting this on my Facebook, completely forgot about it. I had emailed to my email list about my new annual catalog paper share, but I only have 2 spots left. So if you would like to get a fun sampling of those new papers from the new annual catalog, make sure you message me, email me, so that I can get you that registration link. Guys, don't forget our game plan. We have till Monday, May 1st, to be able to get those last chance products that are retiring. And several of them are up to 60% off. So make sure you go and you shop. All right, guys, I hope that you really enjoy and that you will make some of these, make a one-sheet wonder, make some cards with that. Last week, y'all shared with me some of the projects that y'all have been making with some of the last few videos, and they were so much fun to look at. So keep sharing those. I love seeing them, and we appreciate you sharing your creativity with us. All right, guys, I'm going to take off, and I hope that y'all have a wonderfully blessed weekend. We will see y'all next Friday. Bye, guys.